So, oh yes, look at what has come this way to the Microwave One channel. Yes, it's a 150 in 1 project kit from Radio Shack, and you know this is going to cause real trouble here in the shack because not only do I have to test a few of the circuits out of the book, and I have the complete book, but we're going to have to try some new circuits. I mean, why stop at 150? There must be some interesting circuits from 151 to 155.
This is Commander Keen. I've successfully landed on Mars. I've made friends with a space monkey. I'm using the 150 in 1 electronic kit from Radio Shack as my communicator device. With only 27 wires, I've managed to construct a communicator all the way from Mars to Earth. You say you want to talk to the monkey.
So you're so excited you've gotten a hold of a 150 in 1 experimenter kit. You found it in the closet, or maybe you picked it up on eBay. Let's get started. Well, not so fast. I found no less than 5 different faults on the unit that I got my hands on, and I expect you're going to find disconnected items, broken wires, components that are burned out, or even missing. So step 1, let's refurbish the 150 in 1 kit. Oh, so here's a project from the kit. It's a 2-tone patrol car siren. This kid probably wanted to be a cop. And you can see there's a little note here. It is awesome. It is awesome. A 2-tone patrol car siren. Wouldn't this be awesome to have on your bike? You have other notes in here from the kid. Transistor radio with RF amplifier. It doesn't work. Worked? Well, it doesn't work. Not everything works. I mean, especially when the ferrite loop stick isn't even hooked up. Makes it more difficult. Okay, a big takeaway here. You want to inspect the back of the board. And you're going to look very carefully for disconnections here on the board. Especially pay attention to the ferrite loop stick connections. I found 2 of these broken on mine. If they are broken, twist the wire ends, and they'll be covered with a cloth substance, and tin them. They will tin. It'll burn through the outer insulation, and you'll end up with about this much of tinned wire. Put that very carefully back in the spring terminal. The other place I found a problem was with the NPN RF transistor here, the 2N3904. These leads are short. Two of them were popped out of the spring. So keep your eye on all of these spring connections to make sure they're done okay. Most of the problems were on the back of the board. And eventually I did find out the potentiometer wiper wasn't making connection as well. So there's several things on here that would have made the youngster very upset because none of his RF projects would have worked because of the ferrite loop stick connections not connected. So as I continue to buzz out the 150 in 1, I found that the ferrite loop stick secondary still does not have continuity. So I had to re-tin both of these leads here and reconnect them on the bottom. And I found that the potentiometer, although it measures the proper 50K between the outside, 41K, close enough, I've got nothing to the center at all. So that potentiometer has failed, and you're going to run into things on these antique systems. This can cause a lot of frustration. So this potentiometer is going to have to be repaired or replaced. Okay, I decided to go the repair route, and I have repaired the potentiometer. The contacts were not making contact with the film resistor, but I have hit this with some deoxit, and I've increased the
the spring tension, and now the potentiometer is working. I'm going to reassemble it now. Okay, potentiometer is going back together. Sometimes it's easier just to take it apart and see what the problem is instead of trying to search out a replacement part. Just get this one fixed and back in the circuit. Reconnected and so on. Okay, ready to go. I'll give it one more buzz out, mount it, connect it, and we'll be back in business with the potentiometer. Potentiometer is back in. I already see something between 15 and 16. Oh yeah, it's working. Yep, 41K. It's supposed to be a 50K pot, but you know, what's 10 less K between friends? It's still going to work. And down to 0. Very good. Okay, potentiometer is repaired. Let's check the meter very quickly. Oh, there it goes. Meter is deflecting. Okay, meter is deflecting. It's working. Okay, good. Okay, checking the cadmium sulfide photocell. We've got a certain resistance here. It's up around 1K. If we block the light, it goes up to about 7K. It goes down to 400 ohms or so. Okay, so that's the photocell. It changes resistance with light. And of course, the solar cell, we want to check that, right? So you put it on volts. Put the negative lead on the negative, the positive on the positive. Looks like we got 0.3 volts there. Give it a little more juice. They're not too healthy, but they are putting something out with light. I'm sure it'd be better in the sun. The solar cell's somewhat working. And on until we get the whole thing tested. The chances of this thing working perfectly and every component being connected, it's just about 0. You're going to have problems on these. So do go through them and make sure everything is connected and working before you attempt to do any circuit. Okay, so let me demonstrate. I'm going to take one of the wires. Okay, the wire is stripped. I'm going to just, this is the germanium diode. See, I've just moved that spring over. I put the wire in. It's captured. Now, that's good enough, but if you want to give it just a little more, J-hook to the right, just like that. Done. To remove, just move that back so it's straight, pull it straight out. We're going to build a circuit. It's called the Code Practice Oscillator with Tone Control. Now, you knew this was going to be the first one I was going to try on the 150-in-1, just because, you know, I've been playing with Code Practice Oscillators. Let's see how good their circuit is and how it works. Looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components. 7 components maybe if you include the speaker. Oh yeah, this should be pretty quick. Let's get in there and start building it. 21 to 23. And in the words of VK3YE, speed kills. 5 minutes to construct this Code Practice Oscillator. So, okay, Project 105. Okay, I've built the tone modulated transmitter. The tone modulated transmitter is basically a Hartley RF oscillator. and a Hartley style tone oscillator. It could be a blocking oscillator of some kind, but it has a center tap. It's using the primary of the driver transformer to form the oscillator, to put it in phase so we get some kind of a tone. Notice that there's no on-off switch. There's only the key, and the key turns the tone on and off. The carrier will come up instantly because there's no switch. So this thing will run down your battery in short order. If you were just leave this connected, it would kill your battery. So I have added a switch at this point right here, so that I can actually turn the RF on separately from the tone. So we also have a little key over here. This is a keyed transmitter. So let's turn the switch on. Just over 1 megahertz. It's 1.007 megahertz on the dial. We have a good strong carrier coming out. Now we're going to close the key, and we're hoping for a tone, of course. It does not work. Now the kid would panic at this point, but before we panic, you want to check every connection to make sure that it's hooked up per the instructions. Okay, I went through it and I checked all the connections. They are all 100% correct. There's nothing wrong with the hookup. I'm not violating any rules. It's just simply not working. So let's think logically. This is such a simple circuit. I mean, there's really not much to this circuit. What could be the problem? Well, remember, this type of circuit is depending on the gain of the transistors, and the biasing is quite crude. Over time, those transistors could have drifted a little bit with their gain, and the resistors could have gone up in value. I don't think it's a problem with the capacitors. So the first thing, since we know it's just the tone part that's not working, the RF part, so the 100K and the 100 puff and the 100 ohm and the first transistor, the 2SA, that's all working. It's that second stage, the 2SB, that has the 470K base resistor that I'm targeting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try a high value resistor, probably another 470K, and see if we can tempt that transistor into oscillating with a tone. Now, they tell you to do this actually. If you look at the instructions, they tell you to try different battery voltages with the transmitter. And look, they're talking about that 470K, playing with that, but don't go below 47K. Okay, so already question marks in your head. Was this supposed to work out of the box, or am I supposed to play with it to make it work? So the first thing I'm going to try is just putting a resistor right across that 470K resistor. Let's find the 470K resistor. Where are you? Oh, there it is. There's the 470K resistor. Pressing the key, nothing. Let's get a resistor right across that 470K. Press the key. Okay, lesson learned. Resistors vary in value, transistors drift, and these are pretty squirrely circuits. So you're going to have to fool around with some of them to make the circuit actually work. This is actually a circuit that I stole out of the Alenco 130-in-1 project book that I adapted for the 150-in-1. All of the parts were here to build it. Zero modifications. It's built right to the original schematic, which I have redrawn in the science fair fashion so that it looks proper in the book. And it's a little odd to be using the speaker as a microphone, though. A little, how do you get your head down here to actually test one, two,
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2. It's a little difficult. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. It's a little hard to use this thing in a way that, you know, it's practical because you have to hold it up to your head. So that's why I made the external microphone. Let's look at that. Okay, so the external microphone is another 8 ohm speaker that I just tacked onto this cord. Any 8 ohm speaker would work. You know, it could be a 4-inch 8 ohm speaker, but just having it on the cord allows you to get it closer to your mouth where it makes sense as a microphone. So that's all I'm going to say about this simple transmitter. It's a series modulated transmitter. It's probably only about 15 or 20 milliwatts of power. And, you know, it's going to go a little distance depending on the antenna you use. So let's call that good enough for this video. I promised 4 new projects beyond this, 150 through 155. So stand by for 4 more projects with the 150 and 1 that you've never seen before, hopefully, on the next video.